So today I'm once again pleased to discuss the topics with Marieke Flament.
Yes.
The three questions that I have for you, we know that there are a lot of speculations around the stablecoins and the banking infrastructure, and I think that's kind of the topic for this Money 2020. I was assuming it's going to be about agentic payments, but everyone is pretty practical about the P&L, moving functions, etc. So the currency of power has been arguing that the old petrodollar recycling loop is kind of fading. And right now, taking in account how much MiCA and the Genius Act assume bank style for stablecoins, how do you think it will shape up the future?
Yeah, it's true. And thank you again for being here. It's amazing to be here. In currency of power, what we write a lot about is like if the petrodollar loop is starting to crack, and if other countries are starting to actually want to find an alternative system, what does that system look like? But we're also looking at, okay, surely the US is not letting that go very easily. And therefore, like, what's the role of stablecoins? And stablecoins are the perfect tool to continue having dollar hegemony, right?
Yeah.
Because actually they spread very easily. It's a way to look at the dollar as being open source. Anyone, anywhere in the world can actually have access to wallets and download dollar-based stablecoin and use that wherever they want, right? So it's in a way, you know, replacing what we might have seen with the petrodollar and making it like resistant for the future. So that's what we look at. And I think there's also a lot of other different models across the world that are very interesting.
And in this case, it's equation not from two sides like a China and the United States, because a lot of people are assuming that, okay, there is a dollar, there is a China, we're talking about yuan, which is not really convertible, but still in the play. And what is the place for Europe in this setup or equation?
Yeah, great question. And I think, you know, so it feels like right now the cards are being rejiggled, right? And of course, things are slower to move than what we do like to think. And very often, indeed, the debate is like the US versus China. China has a very different approach, and they basically have a very controlled version of the yuan, whether it's onshore, offshore, or via Hong Kong. And the US has this open sourcing of the dollar version of it. Now, Europe is kind of caught in between and in the middle. And what's the role of the euro, right? What's the role of the euro that we want to play on going forward? There is a very strong appetite for having a strong euro and a euro that's demanded. And for that, you need actually to have a good digital stack, right? And so across Europe, there are different versions that are being looked at, from wholesale CBDC, tokenized deposits, stable coins, digital euro. So all of that could be like, you know, making basically the euro ready for the future and online.
In this case, I'm always wondering, because a lot of people are discussing like a usage of this stablecoin based on US dollars. But let's be fair, right now it's possible to issue the stablecoins with other currencies, but people seems to be more interested in United States dollar. Is it the case that it's just another form that people are seeking, or it's more just the adoption through the dollar and then we will see other currencies used like that?
Well, and you're totally right. The problem is that today, so 99% of stablecoin market is in dollar. And there is actually deep liquidity, and it's available everywhere, right? And so for any other stablecoin to come on board, you need to create that network effect. And therefore, it means you need to be readily available on exchanges, and you need to have enough liquidity so that it doesn't defect. That's hard to do, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why right now we are not seeing like anyone anywhere in the world really like take lunch at that, and the market is still open to it. Now, what we've seen over the last 6 to 12 months is a lot of countries are realizing that they have to have, you know, a sovereign stablecoin, because otherwise, especially as we start looking at, you know, agentic commerce that could marry up very well with those rails, tokenized markets, like, you know, there is everywhere, like equity is being tokenized. All of that will work very well with stablecoins. And if you don't have your currency, well, everything's going to be in dollars. So there is a realization. It takes time. We should not forget that, you know, American players, whether it's Tether or Circle, have been at this for 10 years, right?
Yeah,
and so anyone starting now is like 10 years late, right?
That's true. And another angle which is fascinating me is there is no basically the stablecoin baked euro, because the projects that are taking part here is a digital euro, which is not going to be connected with the blockchain. Is it a deliberate solution, or Europe is trying to see what is going on and then just jump into the bandwagon?
Well, great question. So I'm on the board of Qivalis, and Qivalis is actually a consortium of European banks that have come together to create an entity to actually create a euro stablecoins. And the way we see it is that it needs to be part of like broader instruments, right? So Europe needs wholesale CBDC because there is still the ECB and that's how you anchor money. There are tokenized deposit solutions that are coming with Appia, for example, and then there's the digital euro. But part of that is also having a stablecoin, which is, yes, it's a private instrument, but it will actually enable to have like this, entire ecosystem working across different solutions and therefore enabling a euro to be strong on the international scene and also on the local scene.
Yeah, so I think definitely we need to explore in the podcast more Qivalis system, because we discussed with Rainer all the digital euro. So it might be...
absolutely. Yes, so we should definitely do that.
That we promised to do that.
Let's do an episode on that.
Thank you so much for your time and answers.
Thank you so much, Hugo. Thank you.